Hi guys, this is Chloe and welcome back to my channel. But today I'm going to be talking about just like my therapist that I had and currently have. And it's more talking therapist. It's not physical or occupational therapist that I'm going to be talking about. This is just like the talking therapist and how to find the right therapist for your individual or just any therapist in general. And if y'all see me looking down a lot, rest assured, it doesn't mean that I don't care. This is a binder of all my childhood medical records. And just in the event that I have to reference something, I can do a quick reference. But I did do my research beforehand, but again, just in case if I need to reference. So I'm so excited to get into this video. And on that note, we're going to get started. Now, before I get into this, I'm not going to mention any names because I did take a look and at least one of the therapists to this day is still practicing. And then the other one assumed a different role in the same center, but she's no longer seeing patients. So therefore, I'm not going to say names. So my third grade year, I saw a psychologist and I don't know how my parents found this person because this was back in the early 2000s and the internet wasn't really a thing. So again, I don't know how they found her, but this psychologist that I did see, okay, here we go. I had to look for it, but I've been seeing this therapist once a month, probably because my parents couldn't afford more visits because health insurance. If you know, you know. But health insurance only either doesn't pay for it at all or will pay for X amount of visits depending on your plan and or how much progress you're making. And the thing is that she was testing me for Asperger's, and the thing is that back then you had to meet all the diagnostic criteria in order to get a specific diagnosis like autism or Asperger's or PDD-NOS. But I didn't meet the criteria for Asperger's, but she did because I didn't meet all the criteria. And she said though that I did have an uneven ability structure. And I did work with her on some other my fears. And she said that I had numerous fears, but she diagnosed me with specific phobia disorder, or SPD for short. Again, not sensory processing disorder, but specific phobia disorder. Because I had the fear of the hospitals. After my surgery, you couldn't get me to go past Emory University or any hospital without me having a panic attack. So I had a fear of that. And that went on to my 6th grade year. And then I had a fear of the hair dryer because I didn't like the loud sounds. And then I had a fear of the vacuum cleaner for the exact same reason. And I just had numerous fears. And I was sensitive to certain textures and stuff, and she helped with quote unquote with those fears. But looking back on it, that sense specific phobia disorder was very incorrect. But at the same time, I should have gotten a PTSD diagnosis. But the thing is, back then with PTSD, doctors and professionals only thought that it happened to war veterans, which isn't the case. It is not. I remember playing with the sand table with her, but to be honest, my experience there can't really be compared to the experience now because I had a diagnosis of ADHD, which I still do now. And back then I wasn't on the correct medicine, so I couldn't focus. And because I couldn't focus, therefore I feel like I can't compare. She also said that I should have some social skills play dates as well, just to kind of set things up. And then when I was in the 12th grade, my anxiety was spiraling. And I was seeing a psychiatrist for my ADHD, and he wanted me to see a therapist. And I was getting social skills therapy done at a social skills therapy place for people with all types of social skills deficits, regardless if you were diagnosed or not. However, the majority of the people there did have autism, but the clinicians there weren't really just trained to work with people with autism. It was more just trained to be like work with people that had social skills deficits and not necessarily autism in the sense. And I was getting, the social skills training done there. So we spoke to the head of the social skills training center because they also offered therapy there, like individual. And he said that he would try to find somebody for me. And he had a meeting with his staff, just like he does. He has regularly meetings with them. And he had spoken about me and asked if anyone was willing to take me on. And this one person who interned there for a long time and decided to get a legit job there, she actually had interned in one of my groups and liked me a lot and said, I'll take her. She's very sweet. So she took me on. And then afterwards, she abruptly ended our therapy. And actually, that was very illegal in the counseling and therapy world as to the way she did it. And I could get more into that if you want. And if you want, just let me know in the comments and I can definitely do a separate video on that. But we abruptly ended that, particularly looking back to not like the therapist I saw at the social skills training place, because she'd always, I'd sit down with my mom and she'd always say, Chloe, do you understand what your mom is saying? And never really took into account how I felt about things. I went to the Emory Autism Center and I saw a licensed professional counselor there. She was basically just okay. And she basically did CBT therapy, but she was very blunt. Now with bluntness, it's kind of a double-edged sword. So I understand that there are some people out there that need the bluntness, especially some autistic individuals. However, I am not one of those people. And I particularly didn't like it. And then she ended up leaving and gave me someone else to see. The CBT therapist that I saw, she never really took into account my feelings, but she was also very blunt, which I didn't appreciate. That someone else, she actually used to intern with our, the day program I did there. And she liked it so much that she wanted a legit job there and got a legit job. And she not only does the day program I do now, but she does therapy on the side. And I see her for therapy. She's a licensed professional counselor as well. But she's not CBT. I forget what she is, but she's not CBT. And this one, I recently had an appointment with her, my mom, and myself. And it went so smooth. I didn't cry afterwards because I was heard, I was valued, I was seen, and I was understood, which hadn't happened before in all my other appointments with my mom. So therefore, I never felt comfortable with inviting her in fears that that was going to happen and I was going to get upset like I did the past couple of times. But this time, I felt comfortable. Oh my gosh, I felt comfortable. And it was so smooth. But this licensed professional counselor also just gets it. This licensed professional counselor has family in the same area where our cabin used to be. And when I told her that we were struggling at a period of time to sell our cabin, she was very on it and knew why we were struggling. And she said, let me guess, going up and down the mountain is too steep. So she got it. And I didn't have to explain any further, which makes it a lot easier. That way I didn't have to rehash everything. Because sometimes having to rehash stuff like that can really take a toll on you, especially if you do it multiple times. But And sometimes, depending on the day, like what kind of day I'm having, I may not be comfortable rehashing it. But those are pretty much all the therapists I saw. Got on the correct ADHD medicine my 7th grade year, and I feel a lot better. And I'm able to tolerate therapy a lot more, like better than when I was younger, because I can focus. And I feel like I'm learning a lot more from therapy than I did with the 3rd grade therapist. And it wasn't her fault that I couldn't learn. It's just that I couldn't focus. But this therapist, so if y'all hadn't seen my PTSD videos on like how I got diagnosed, there'll be a little eye in the corner and you can click that and find out more information. But she helped aid in my PTSD diagnosis and stuff. But how you can find a therapist is Google it. Google therapist near me. And you can take a look, and there are some websites out there. I'll try to link them in the description where you can look, like put in search criteria for the therapist you're looking for and they'll pop up. Now, I will say from personal experience, because you've just heard all the therapists I went through, but it does take a couple of times to find a good therapist. And not just a good therapist too, but the right therapist for your needs. And what therapist may work for you may not work for somebody else. And that's okay. You can always recommend them to said person, but again, they may not, jive with that therapist, and that's okay. But there are a lot of therapists out there. There are therapists that see individuals with autism, therapists that treat trauma, therapists that treat individuals with PTSD, a wide variety. And I have personally been told that it is best for me to see somebody that works with individuals with autism. Otherwise, I'm not going to understand the therapy, which is why I see somebody through an autism center. And if you are autistic, try looking for an autism center near you and drop them a line and see if they accept adults with autism and if they have a therapist on board. And just see if you drive with them. That's basically all the advice I have. If you have any other advice that you'd like to share out for everyone else, feel free to put it in the comments. And I thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I can't wait to see you guys again soon. Bye.